Masudi here.
Hi guys, this is Dimo from Masodi.
Last session we tried to send the order from customer to the admin, and we tried to use JSON library for that. And here in the customer side, we try to create a JSON object, and we put our items inside the JSON object, and then we serialize it here to a string here, and then we pass it to the connector as a request, and then the connector serializes it as a sequence of bytes and sends it to the admin, and the admin, the server here, receives those sequences of bytes and then tries to deserialize it as a request and passes it to this callback that we have given before to the server. And here inside the callback, based on the command of the request, we have a when, which is a switch case. Based on the command, we decide what to do from there. So when the command is place order, it means that because this protocol should be agreed upon between the customer on each of the endpoints, on each of the requests. We know that with the place order command here, we will receive something, a serialized something that is a JSON object which has got two key value pairs. First one is items with ITEMS, all lowercase, and the second one customer name, and C and the N are uppercase. These are very important because there on the other side we will try to first compose a JSON object again, and then ask it for key value pairs. We will ask, okay, what is the value for the battery of Moses? We will ask the JSON, for example, I expect you to have a string, a JSON string with the key customer name, which the C and the N are uppercase. So this is the protocol. So here we get the body of the request, which is a string, which has been deserialized from the sequences of the bytes by the server for us and has been passed here. So we have this body of the request, and then we pass it to JSON object. Here, if the string passed to the JSON object has, for example, something wrong with it, is not for example, if it is not a correct, well-formed JSON object, we will have an exception here. It won't continue from this line. We will have, then here we are asking the order, which is a JSON object. We ask it, I expect you to have a string with this key. If it doesn't have anything here,
does it have any default value?
Yeah, no, you can pass default values, I think, or it has opt, some other functions other than get. I think it has opt. Yes, you can pass default values, or it will return null, I think. But we want it because we know that there should be a customer name. We confidently ask it, and we want it to throw exception. If
there isn't, it will throw an exception.
It will throw an exception.
Not null.
Yes. Then again, we ask the order get JSON array because we expect to be a JSON array inside the received JSON object with the key items. And now these items, last session we printed it. This session we want to again iterate over all of because from the customer side, I remember that each item is a JSON object which has two key value pairs. First one is product, which has got the product name, and the second one is amount, which is an integer or a string, or yes. And then so the items, the JSON array items, is composed of JSON objects, in which each JSON object has got two key values. So here, because Kotlin doesn't have the old for I index, I++, that kind of style for loop, either we have to use the while, but I want to, from now on, to use the extension functions on the lists and iterables. The JSON array here is an iterable. Let me show you here. Let me get to the JSON array. Now let's get back here. This is actually a JSON array, and there is no need for us to explicitly say, as you remember, it will implicitly infer the items value will infer the type from the other side. But here I just want to go inside to show you that the JSON array implements iterable. Iterable is a class inside JDK. You see a lot. It's inside java.lang. It's an interface. It says it has an iterator. It has for each, you know, and the iterator, you say, for example, while has next, then give me the next. I think you've seen this style of code. And because items is an iterable as well, it has a for each function which will accept a lambda, you know, and will pass all the items to that lambda. So if we say items dot for each, you'll see that here the for each accepts a consumer. You know, the for each is a function on iterable. You can see it's on iterable, defined on iterable. It accepts a consumer, a callback, like this callback, like the callback that we gave to notify me on new connection. We gave a callback of type new connection callback. So we created an object and we passed it to it. Here we can do the same. We can say we want an object of type consumer, and the consumer, let's see, the consumer will be, let's go to the consumer. Consumer is a function, is an interface which has got only one function here. Sorry, it has two, and then accept. Let's see if we can pass only the accept one. So if we say something like this, let's see if it will work. Create, no. Not. Let's pass it any, because implement members, the accept, and yes. And now it is telling us that, okay, so this any here, maybe we've not talked about it before. Like Java, which all the classes are implicitly extended from object. Even though if you don't say it explicitly, all of them will be implicitly, you know, extended from the object class. You can see, for example, 3, 4, or 5 functions on each object. You have notify me, or toString equals. All those functions are being inherited from the object class. Here in the Kotlin, you know, in every programming language, object-oriented programming language, you have something like this, that all the classes are being extended from a single class. And here that single class is any, not object. So I'm saying that because items here, items dot for each accepts an any, yes. So we pass an interface to the for each, and we tell the for each, please pass each of the items inside you one by one sequentially to this
method.
Yes, to this callback, to this method, as you will, to this method, to this callback. And you know, this is something like the for, something like for each. When you have, for example, for each, and you say for example, item in items, and which is, by the way, possible. No, it is not possible. Items, let's see, in, yes, which is possible. We can go with this option. This in is possible because it's an iterable. Because it's an iterable, the for each loop, the for loop accepts this style, because items is an iterable. So this is actually something like that. We are telling that sequentially each item inside these items, pass it to this item, and then for each of them call the body once. This is something like that. You know, we can go with this style or with this style. So, but I want to go with this because we can actually convert it into lambda because this function has this interface that it accepts, you know, has only single function that we should override. So when this is something like that, we can in the Kotlin say, I want to pass a lambda, and inside the lambda we can say the name of the only parameter, the argument that it has, for example, is item, like this. And now we can this lambda we have, you know, passed is the equivalent of that interface that we implemented and passed.
Yes.
And because in the Kotlin, if the last, now we are calling a function, actually we are calling the for each function, yes, and we are passing a lambda.
Yes.
Because the last parameter that we are passing to the function is a lambda, we can bring it outside of the,
because it is one parameter.
yes, no, not because it's one, because it's the last. Because it's the last.
You
may have a function that receives 10 parameters, and the
can
last
bring
one is
the last one out of the bracket.
If the last one is a lambda, when you are calling that function, you can bring the last lambda that you are passing outside of the function call.
Just the last one.
Just the last one.
So it has some conditions. The first
Yes.
one is it must be a lambda.
Yes.
It must be the last parameters.
Yes.
It's not important. We have 3 lambdas maybe.
No. The last one you can bring it out. If the last one, maybe
if the last one we want to call the last one.
No, you know, let me show you here. Maybe we have
No, you say one
function
sentence
like
that
this that receives an integer like this, a double like this, yes, and a lambda, for example, callback lambda, and you are saying I am expecting a lambda which will receive an int and a string, for example. This is the lambda I'm defining, the signature, and will return nothing, or will return a string.
Okay.
So this is the lambda now. This is the body of the function. Now if I want to call this function here, g, yes, I can say 1, 1, 2.3, and then I'm passing the lambda, because the lambda is the last one, and this lambda is accepting 4, 3. Let me give all of them, for example.
1,
A, B, C.
That is int.
The name doesn't matter. You know, it will receive the and it accepts.
The name doesn't matter.
No, the names here. We have not given any names here to the signature.
The
types will be inferred here. The A is actually the first one. The B will be
the character. The ASCII code.
No.
Here the things we pass.
Yes. This is a candidate for this signature.
Yes. I know.
And it will infer that A will be int, B will be int,
okay.
and then we should return a string. Now you can see it's telling me here that you can bring it outside, and I will tell you why we can bring it outside. And
does it have any benefit?
Yes, I want to show. I want you to. I want to show that benefit here. So now I brought it outside. Yes. Now it's outside. Then the second thing that Kotlin say, if you are calling a function that has only a single, that receives only a single lambda, so that you have brought it outside, and the parentheses are empty, you can delete the parentheses. That's the second one.
If it's one.
Yes, if it's one. Now you can see it is reading very, it is
easily.
Very well, yes. There is no parentheses. You cannot see that you are actually calling a function. This is the function that you are calling, and you are passing, you're passing this object.
Yes.
The callback is an object. But it's not visible. It's not, it's not, and it is very readable, the Kotlin. Now, again, the Kotlin says, if your lambda receives only one parameter, you can actually get rid of this and refer to that one as it. You can say that it.
It will understand that is item.
Yes, it. It is any. Yes.
But here is actually an item.
Yes. So you can see that that ugly for loops is converted to something like this, and it is very powerful as well. Because here we want to chain them, we want to chain to other functions. So this pattern here with for each, we have it with map. What does map do? Map is again defined on iterable. So map, so map is a function, receives, let's see, what does it receive? Receives a transform. No, but this time the map is defined in the Kotlin, and it's not any, it's a lambda. It receives a lambda. So, one way of doing that is just pass it like this. And now, because it's the last parameter that we are passing, we can move it outside and delete
Then
the
delete it, yes.
parenthesis. So what does map do? Map, is again like a for each loop. So all the items inside the items will be passed to map, and then we have to convert it to something else, and then return it from the map. Then the map will gather all of them and return a list of them. So when you want to convert a list of something to a list of something else, you create a map here, and you tell the map, pass each of the items of the list sequentially to this mapper, to this lambda that I've given you. I will convert it to something else. I will generate something else, and I will return it to you. Then store all of them inside the list and return it to me. So here, this it, we can say convert it to, for example, it dot to string. I don't know. So it will return string form of each item, for example, sorry. So this will be a list of, I want to write it explicitly to show you, string. So this map here is, here you can see that is generating a list of something. So you pass it a list of something, it returns a list of something else. That something else is the value that you are returning. And another thing, by the way, that the last value that you write inside the lambda will be returned from the lambda. You cannot say return here. You cannot say that.
Automatically.
Yes. The last value will be returned from the lambda. Again, for the beauty of it, Again, one aspect of that is the beauty. So here, we want to do something like this. We want to say items dot. First, let's map it. And because we know that each item inside the items is a JSON object, yes? We know that it's a JSON object. So we can say item equals it as JSON object. I'm casting it explicitly. I know that item, no, sorry, not item, it. Yes. It as JSON object is stored inside the item. So I know that it, which is each index of the items, is a JSON object. I cast it explicitly. Now that I have it, I can say, let's say, let's first once print it, yes? Print ln item, for example, item. And here, by the way, we are not, let's convert it to for each, because first we are iterating and just want to print to see inside it. Next, we will try to convert it to something else. So now let's run the admin. This style of functional programming, chaining map to for example, to filter and using all this, the more we advance, you will get used to it. So the admin is being run. Okay, now the customer. Then we ask for the product list. Then we try to place order. We say, for example, apple 1, yes, orange 2, yes, banana 3, no. Okay. In the admin side, we can say you can see that we have these 3 lines: item, 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 and each of them is, and we don't have any exception. We don't have, you can see no exceptions here. So each of them is a JSON object. Each has, so our guess is correct here, and we have, if we cast it, for example, to something else, it will throw exception here in this line. It will throw exception, and the program will crash there. So the guess is okay. Now let's use the map function and let's convert it to For example, let's have something like this. I want to create like shopping cart. We have shopping cart item. I want to have another class here as order, class order. Because each order that we receive from the customer, we want to create a new object of some type and store it somewhere, maybe store it in a repository. So the order will have the customer name as val customer name, and sorry, no semicolons, and it will be string, and also it will be items. So this will be list of order item. Let's again create another class for that order item, and let's use the primary constructor for this. So let's say val product name of type string, and again val amount of type int. So this is a class here. I think we've talked before about the primary constructors. This actually here is a constructor like the other constructors, but it is doing a lot of things simultaneously. It is defining these two properties of this class, and each time you create an instance, it will, the values that you are passing to the constructor will be assigned to these properties as well. You know, it is equivalent of maybe 10 lines in the Java, 10 lines of code. So order will be items, order item. Again, we can convert it maybe to a primary constructor, maybe here. Okay, two classes, each of them in a single line. Very beautiful, you know. So the order has each order has a customer name and items, which is a list of order item, and each order item has got a product name and amount. So here we are going to, let me go to the bottom here. We are going to create an order and add it somewhere. For example, create a function and say new order has been arrived. And before that, we have to first deserialize it to the order object and then give it to the admin. So now we are trying to deserialize it out of JSON. Here, so we have item. Let's rename it to JSON item. I just want to rename it and then use the item name for the item. I want to create an item, order item. So I'm instantiating an order item. Order item needs product name and amount. So we know that inside the JSON item, we have product name, JSON item dot get string
name product.
It will be product name, and I
think with small s, small p, and
product itself, yes, with lowercase p. So product, and also we have amount. This will be, I think, because we have passed also the amount as string here. Yes, read line is giving string. First, we have to get it as a string, the amount, and then we can convert it to an integer because we are sure that it's an integer. So now we have the product name, we have the amount, we can say, okay, this is the map now. Now if I show it, if I want to show it here, order items equals, you can see that it is list of order item, yes? Order item. You can see that this items map function, you know, is creating a list of order item because at the end of each line, I am returning an order item. It is passing me the item at each index, then I'm converting it to an order item and I'm returning to the map. The map gathers all of them and creates a new list and return it to me. Now that I have order items, and also I have the customer name, which I've ask it here, I can create an order. The order needs a customer name and order items. So now I've deserialized all the bytes of the other side inside an object in the admin side. So let's get rid of these printlns. So what can I do with that, with this order? I want to have a function here, something like this. Function fun, new order has been received. Order. I want to call this function from here. I want to say new order has been received, and I want to pass the order. So this is acting as a router, the server here is, deciding on the commands. For example, on the place order command, we have agreed with the customer that you should send the data in this manner, in this fashion, a JSON object which has a JSON array inside it, which then it has got multiple JSON objects inside that JSON array. And now that we have it here, for example, we can say, let's have it in the main menu. We want to add something. For example, pending orders, for example. Or we can say 9 print orders, or print pending orders or not fulfilled orders. And let's, we have a repository for each of them. No, we don't have we have repository only for the product at the moment. We have to add repository for each of them, for order, for shopping cart, for everything. But just for the moment, let's have the orders as a list, global list, order. And let's go here and say each time that we are printing, we want to print the number of the orders. Orders dot size. Inside the menu, like a notification.
Says that how many orders.
Yes, like a notification. And actually printing, showing the main menu will ask each time for user input, and we don't want to so here when the order has been received, we want to add it to orders. After adding that, we want, for example, to print the main menu, but here show main menu as also asking for input, and we don't want that. Let's rename this show main menu and ask for what? Show main menu.
That's okay.
Let's convert it, this one, to print main menu. I want something like print main menu. Print main menu. So I convert this print main menu to a function with Alt Control M, extracted it. It created a function, a separate function for me. And it's not printing menu. We have it here. Okay. So let's name it create. Create main menu. Because it's creating the string and then it is printing it here. Or maybe we can just simply say println new order has been received from order dot customer name. Just that, maybe for the moment. And let's run them to see what happens. Let's first run the admin. Then we should run the customer. Okay, we say place order apple to yes orange 3 4. No, order has been replaced. So you can see here it is saying new order has been received from Mass
customer.
OD. Yes, from customer name. So it is actually creating an order here, and it is calling this function. So we have successfully created an order from the customer side here in this function with the JSON library. You know, we could do this without the JSON library.
That would be so.
That would be so cumbersome, you know, managing all
out
JSON
of hand.
things, you know, creating quotations and
Maybe you would make that funny mistakes.
of course. You should be, for example, aware of the commas, put it in the right place, and compose JSON objects, JSON arrays, all that. But you know, because the first promise in the series was that we are not going to use any third-party library, and first we are going to first write them and then use them. But the JSON is very simple one, the JSON library. You know, it's just composing that JSON for us. You know, nothing more. We could do it actually manually. But then in the admin side, maybe the compose side was easy, maybe it would be easy. But in the admin side, we had to iterate over all the characters and determine the beginning and the end of each JSON object and quotations, you know, everything. That would be very cumbersome, very hard. So, but it helps us. So we were able here to send something from customer, send an order from customer side to the admin side with the help of the sockets. We serialized it to string. We gave it to the connector. It serialized it to sequence of bytes. Then it was sent over here. It deserialized those sequence of bytes to string, then passed it here as a request. Then we got that string and we deserialized that JSON object, and we took out everything about order from it. And then we created an order object, which is known on this side, in the admin side. And then we stored it. So this is pretty much everything that, you know, all the things that you see in the programming, you know, all those who are back-end developers, you know, on their day-to-day job, they are, you know, concerned with these stuff, like storing them in the repositories and retrieving them, deserializing them, and all that. And those who are on the front end side, they are concerned about how to compose, you know, their requests and send it to the backend, connect to the backend, for example, like this with connector, and then get back the response and decide upon that. So this is pretty much all of it. From here on, we will just, you know, add features and refactor. And also we are not using HTTP protocol for connection. We are using something, yes. We are using sockets, but the protocol that we are using with the sockets, yes, is like handmade, you know. It's not something standard, yes. And I think next session maybe we will move toward refactoring the connection, the protocol to HTTP, and then we will continue from there.
Good.
Hope you learned something.
Thank you for watching this.
Yes, thanks.
Subscribe us and share.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.